from the east, these mysterious men that are called magi, wise men, maybe as little kids we were told the three kings, many names for these men. We don't know much about them. But from the east, they traveled. They traveled because they saw creation, they saw the stars, and within their teaching, even among the Gentiles, there was a teaching, a belief that there was going to be a king born in the land of Judah. It wasn't even just the Jewish tradition. It was even with the Gentiles, by studying the stars or whatever it is that they were doing. But they looked at the signs, and in the signs they traveled a long distance. We can only imagine that the travel was difficult and surely uncertain, because as they traveled, they went to the wrong place, did they not? They went to Jerusalem, which in a way made sense. Well, if there's going to be a king in Judea, you go to Jerusalem, you go to the capital, you go to the hustle and bustle, you go to the big city. So they go to Jerusalem, and they meet King Herod. And King Herod didn't welcome this. His kingdom that he built for himself was being disturbed. But eventually, the wise men, they went to the scriptures. Herod went to the scriptures, to the scholars. Well, what's this idea of this king going to be born? And in the scriptures, in divine revelation, they tell us what? That the new king was going to be in a little insignificant town of Bethlehem that really had no meaning, no purpose. This is where the child was going to be born. And so they go there. And when they see the child there, again, the new king, an innocent little baby with a simple woman, our Blessed Mother, and a simple man of St. Joseph, and with the poor shepherds, again, people who didn't really have much of an elite stature in society. They were kind of like the outcasts, the shepherds. Amongst all that, and the poverty and simplicity, is where they found the newborn king. And we're told that they were overjoyed, but in the Greek, it's like they were rejoiced with joy. It's something along those lines to really show their overemphasis of how much joy and happiness it was brought into their lives. And after all that travel and going to Jerusalem and then traveling to Bethlehem, all that travel, what was the purpose of their visit? Just to fall down and do him homage. That's it. To worship. Isn't it nice that we had this storm this weekend? Now for my collection, maybe not so much. I won't eat this week, but that's okay. I can fast, okay? But let's look at our lives and compare it with today's feast day. It's cold, it's snowing, and we wake up, we put on our winter clothes, and before we even come here, we shoveled out our spots and de-iced our pavements and cleared our driveways. Then we get in the car very cautiously, maybe a little nervousness, driving in these poor road conditions. Maybe some of you just walked and you're walking down the pavement in the city and there's spots that aren't shoveled yet. Again, everyone's doing so with that cautious little walk, making sure they don't slip, making sure they don't hit a nice spot. Then you park in our very small parking lot, and it's slanted, and again, we're watching those little ice packs. We finally make it in here. And why do we do all this? To worship. To worship. Today, our experience today maybe wasn't that much different than those three wise men who came from a very far distance to come and worship. My friends, that's why we're here. And And maybe we grew up and, we told we had to go to Mass. If we don't go to Mass, it's a mortal sin, and we have to go to confession, and, we have to please God. But it really, most of that is not the case. Yeah, we have an obligation, but it's really ultimately for our benefit. We're not increasing God's glory or greatness. We're not doing any of that here. This is for us to worship God and to be unlike Herod, who Herod was the center of his universe, right? He was the center of his kingdom, which is why an arrival of a simple little baby with a simple little family, why an arrival of that brought him so much anguish and distress that he eventually wants all males two or younger to be killed. That was Herod's reaction to the arrival of our king, because his universe and him being at the center of his own universe was greatly disturbed by the arrival of this little innocent baby. And for many of us, not many of us, but many people out there, that's the case. Why even bother shoveling and walking and driving? Why even bother in any of that, to come and worship God? Why even bother? But for us, we know and recognize that there's another being out there greater than us, another being out there who gives us life, another being that greatly and deeply is in love with us, so much so that he considers us his beloved sons and daughters. And another being who wants to give us so many great gifts, and another being who wants to give us consolation in the midst of our sufferings, and another being who, when we meet our moment of our own death, wants to say, no, you're not die. You believe in me, you'll have eternal life. You will live forever, and live forever in God's love and in God's peace. We know there's another being who wants to give us all those good things. So we come here in the snow, in the bad conditions, with maybe a lot of major inconveniences to get here. We do so to give thanks to God, to ask his good gifts, and to adore him and do him homage. And knowing that God, infinitely in love with us, will give us exactly what we need in this life and a life to come. Come, let us adore him. May God bless you.